Look at that. I mean, just look at it. You go to a shop, you buy a square, you think it's square, you take it home, and you have that. What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to the workshop. I hope you're all doing well. Now in this video we're going to look at some squares and a handy little center finder tool. Now, to be upfront with you guys, these were sent to me by Faithful Tools. I didn't buy them with my own money, so I have to let you guys know that. But I'm not being paid and I'm under no obligation to say anything about them whatsoever. So I get contacted by tool manufacturers every day of the week. My inbox is full now at this stage, and I refuse to do about 99% of them because I either don't know about the tools, I'm not an expert in the tools, or I don't feel it would be good information for you guys. But I've used some Faithful tools in the past, such as this diamond plate, which I've recommended in multiple videos as a very affordable way to sharpen your chisels and your plane blade. I found this to be great. So it's a 400 grit and a 1000 grit diamond plate, and I used that for a good few years myself. So when Faithful contacted me, they wanted to send me some tools. I had a look at our catalogue and I said, look, you have a new prestige range of marking tools out. They seem to be very affordable, and if they're good and square, then that would be of something that would be of interest to you guys. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take a look at these squares and center finder in this video. We'll test them for square. We're going to use my Starrett square as the benchmark. Now these are quite expensive, but they're guaranteed square, and not everybody can afford to go out and buy a full set of Starrett squares, especially if you're in the hobby. But if you can get yourself a good quality set of squares that are square out of the box and they don't break the bank, then yeah, it's a good idea indeed. So let's take a look at these squares without further ado. Okay, so I have three tools here from the Faithful Prestige range. Now the Prestige range is just a slightly more premium tool from Faithful. They put a bit more care and attention into them, and I think they're all CNC made. We'll get into that in a minute. And they also come with a 10-year guarantee, so I mean, you can't argue with that. Now what do I have here? So I have a tri-square. This is the 250mm tri-square, or 10 inches, and I have the 16-inch or 400mm combination square, and I have a very handy little 100mm or 4-inch center finder. It's a great little tool. I'll show you how that works now in a second. So just to come in a nice little package, nice foam insert there. Like I said, they're CNC made and laser etched, so they're made from anodized aluminium, or aluminum for my American friends. I'm always saying aluminum myself nowadays because I watch so many American YouTubers. But yeah, they seem to be nicely made and they seem to be good and square out of the box. Now I'm going to be using my Starrett square as my benchmark. So the very first thing I've done with all of these is put it up against my Starrett square to see how it measures up. And yeah, they seem to be bang on there. I can't see any discrepancies. And also, just testing the laser etched marks, they line up perfectly with the Starrett. I'll give you guys a close-up of that now in a second. So there's the 400mm combination square. Again, it's aluminum. It's nice, lightweight. Again, the price range of these, you get these in around €25, as opposed to, I suppose, about 80 or 120 euros, the equivalent Starrett would cost you. So you have to bear that in mind. We're not dealing with like for like here. But again, just a quick glance out of the box, holding the Starrett up against it, it seems to be good and square. There's no gaps there, and all the laser etched marks line up perfectly with the Starrett square, so that's good too. And just a quick look then at the center finder. This is a very handy little tool. Again, nice little package comes with, and I'll show you how this works now in a minute. But again, nicely made. Again, it's all anodized aluminium. So yeah, they're not bad. They feel pretty good out of the box. The finish is nice on them. The laser etchings are pretty good. So what we'll do now is we'll test these for square. So I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so we're going to test these squares for squares, and we're going to establish a reference edge in order to do that. And the best way I can do that in my workshop is on my MFT table. I know my MFT table is good and square, and my grid pattern is good using the Powerf Guide system. I'm going to use my Fest tool track. I'm going to just make an assumption that my Fest tool track is perfectly straight. That's what I have to do. How do you know straight is straight? How do you know the tools you have in your shop are accurate? Well, you have to make some assumptions that from manufacturers things come straight, and that's what we're going to do with this. So I'm going to establish a good square edge against my reference UJK fence. I'm going to use my Fest tool track to give me a straight edge, and we'll get a 90-degree corner as well. So let's do that. Okay, so I've established a straight edge here, and a perfect 90-degree corner. Now, just check that with my starret, and my starret says that's perfectly 90 degrees. I also have my engineer square, and that tells me that it's exactly 90 degrees as well, so we're bang on. I know my MFT table is good because I've checked that over and over and over again, and there's very little run out, if any, on it. And if I hold that square up against it, that says that it's square as well, which is good. So they all agree that we're at 90 degrees. Again, with the tri-square, looks good and square out of the box. And the little center finder is also a square check, and that's saying that that corner is square as well. Now, just to show you guys, where is it? Here we go. So use my engineer square in against that, and that is saying that that tool is square. So there's no gaps in there whatsoever. The same is true of the combination square. Now look, I'm not expecting these to be 100% perfect at this price point. They're not going to come fully certified square. You pay big money for squares that come certified, especially engineer squares. But for this price point, that is pretty bang on. And just to show you, here's a cheap square that I bought. Again, you go into a shop, you buy a square, you think it's square, you take it home and you check it. And I don't know if you guys can see the gap that's in here. So if I put that down there, just to illustrate this, I can actually fit my marking knife in there. Is that gap coming out on camera? It mightn't be coming out on camera, but there's a big gap halfway up this square, all the way there. I can see daylight the whole way. So this is not actually square. So now let's test for squareness by drawing a line. Okay, let's test for square. So we'll start with the starred square. So I know I have a good reference edge here. So just put our square down. Good sharp pencil, draw a line, and what we do is flip our square over, slide that up, drop our pencil exactly back on that line. It's a little hard now to hold all this because the camera is rightly in the way. So I'll line my pencil back up on that, redraw that line, and as you can see, there's absolutely no discrepancy in that whatsoever. That pencil line, the width of it hasn't changed. So the starret, I know the starret to be bang on. These are really well made squares. So there's no difference there whatsoever. So let's take our longer square now and repeat that same test. So draw our line down there. Line it back up so that we're good. Square, make sure I'm holding it square against it. Drop my pencil mark onto the pencil mark. If I can see what I'm doing there, hold this ruler, hold it square, draw our line, and there you go. We're bang on back in our line again, so no discrepancy whatsoever. And again, we'll try that with the tri-square. A little harder to do with these because these are kind of one side squares only. Broke the tip of my pencil there, so draw that line. So when you flip these guys over, they're not designed to work at this way. So this is actually raised up off the table or off the piece of material. So yeah, it's a little harder to hold it square, but we'll go back in that pencil line again. And there we go, that's good and square. Now just to show you this kind of comedy one that I bought, let's hold that square. So you go into the shop, you buy a cheap square, you think it's going to be square. Let's repeat that test again here now, just to show you guys how not square things are. So if I put my pencil on that pencil line there and come down, now look at that. That's over 1 millimeter of a gap in those two pencil lines. Let me just zoom in on that so you guys can see it a bit better. Okay, so there's our starret pencil line. That's absolute perfection. We have our next square here, which is the combination square, which is almost 100% perfect again. Maybe a little bit of a pencil width of a difference down this end. As you can see, that starret pencil line is just exact, no discrepancy whatsoever. We have then our tri-square here, pretty good again for that tri-square. Again, like I said, it's designed to be used with the measurement side facing up because the ruler is not flat on both sides, so it can rock a little bit this way, but that's pretty good. And then you look at our other square, that just to show you guys that inexpensive squares aren't always square. Look at the difference in that line there. So that is definitely not square. So just something to be to keep in mind when you're buying squares in a shop, go check all your squares that you have now. If you've bought a cheap square and you haven't tested it out and you think it's square and you think you're working at the square and you're wondering why maybe some of your joints are off or anything like that, then go check all your squares and see. And if you want to be really, really precise, you can do this with a marking gauge or with a marking knife. Just be careful that the marking knife doesn't track in the marking knife line again. That can happen. So it's a little harder to do it with the marking knife, but it's even more a precise measurement. So there you go. You can testify that those squares are square. Okay, just before we finish up, I should just move this combination square up and down and just check it for squareness. So I have just been doing that, but just to do it again, so let's just pick a random point, move it, lock it down. Get ourselves lined back up there, perfectly back on our pencil mark, which is right there, and we're bang on a square. So let's just do it again. Hit a random point. We'll go a little bit longer this time. Get ourselves nice and squared up. Back in our pencil line. Draw that again. Yeah, pretty bang on. Maybe just half a hair width up the top, maybe just slightly wider pencil, but that could just be me with the pencil as well. So yeah, I'd be pretty happy with that. So moving it up and down, it's still pretty bang on square. Okay, so just a look at two squares, and like I said, these are really affordable squares. They're nicely made, and out of the box they're pretty square. At least the two that I have in my hands here, I can tell you guys that they're pretty square. They are plenty square for woodworking. Now, they're not going to be engineering square precision. Again, the price point that these are at, you know, a Starrett square, the equivalent size Starrett square would be 5 times the price. If you guys are doing engineering and you need engineering squares, you need them to be certified, well, you're going to pay upwards of €1,000 for a set of certified engineer square. So just bear in mind the price point that we're talking about here, and like that's, for me, that's good enough for woodworking and from what I'm doing in the shop. And any of you hobbyist guys, even you guys out on site, I would be happy as an electrician to throw that one now in my tool bag for doing trunk and tray, all that kind of work. That would be perfectly square for what I would need and for that level of squareness. Again, not engineering level squareness, but perfectly square for what I would be doing, and very affordable, I have to say. Now let's look at the little center finder. I'll show you how this works. It's a very, very handy little tool indeed, and yeah, I think everybody should have one of these in their toolkit. Okay guys, just a quick close up on our center finder tool. So you can see you have a 90-degree reference angle in here. You have a 90-degree angle in here. This is perfectly at 45 degrees to it, and we have a smaller 90-degree reference angle in here, and all the corners are drilled out, so corners can catch and keep things pressed out. So it's always a good idea to notch out the corners in squares and stuff so that you're referencing the edges and there's nothing in the corner keeping it out of the actual corner, because you'd never get perfectly machined corners, as machinists will tell you. That's why notching the corner is a good idea. So just give you a quick demonstration on how this little handy tool works. Okay, just to demonstrate, we're exactly at 45. So if I put that on my exact 90-degree corner and just draw a line up there, you can see that I hit my corner bang on there. So that's a perfect 45-degree angle. Now, finding center of objects. So say if I wanted the center of this to turn it on my lathe, I just need to find the center of this piece. Extremely easy. Put that up against there, draw your line, flip it over here, draw your line again, and there is your exact center. Now, if I wanted the center of this side, again, same thing. I can just draw a line there, flip it over, square it up, draw my line there, and there is the exact center line of that block now. So I can set up my square and draw a center line straight down there, which is very handy indeed. Likewise, on a piece of timber like this, if I want to get the center of the edge, give me a good square edge here, I can do that here. Again, just draw a line that way, hook it on at 90, draw a line that way, and there is my center point of the side of this piece. So very, very quick and easy to find, and you can do it on the face of a piece as well with your center finder. Again, just there and there, very handy. And again, there is the exact center of that piece of timber. So nice, quick and simple to find the center of things. Again, circular stock works the exact same way. I can just do that, rotate it slightly. I can keep rotating it, just drawing lines through, and they will all cross perfectly in the center of that dowel there. So that's how you find the center of circles. So a very, very handy little tool. And you also have a smaller little 90-degree tool in here as well. So I can set that up there. If you're doing really small pieces, I can just hold it there and there. And again, there you go. There is the center, exact center of that piece again. So very, very good, quick and easy way of just finding the centers of square stock or even circular stock. And you can use it for larger pieces as well. So it's out to 4 inches or 100 millimeters. So table legs, things like that. It's a very handy little tool, and it's nice and small. You can just drop in your pocket. And you also have a reference 90 degrees. So just for quickly checking, is something at 90 degrees, you can do that with it as well. So a nice little checking tool. Okay guys, so there we go, just a quick video on some squares, how to check your square to make sure that it is square, and you can see that not all squares are square, so just because they say they're square, it doesn't mean it is actually square. I thought you might find these ones interesting. They seem to be well made as far as I can see for the price point that they're at, and they seem to be good and square out of the box. So yeah, you could definitely get a few of these for your toolbox without breaking the bank, and know that you have some decent quality tools, and the little center finder is very, very handy indeed. So that's it guys, hopefully you found that informative. Hopefully you've got something out of it. Again, if you're in the market for some squares, yeah, definitely have a look at these and see what you guys think. As far as I can see, they are good and square. So hopefully you've enjoyed it guys. Hopefully you got something out of it. Like I said, if you have, give the video a thumbs up. Comments and questions below. Anything you want to know, I will get back to you and try and answer your questions if I can. So that's it. I'm going to get out of here now. All square when it's said and done. I'll see you in the next one.